So it is 11. I think we're going to start the webinar. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to the CENELEC webinar on the new website. In this webinar, we are going to introduce you to the new Public Cen and CENELEC website, as well as the dedicated CENELEC expert area. For those who were in the same session just before, please note that the approach here is going to be the same. So a brief introduction to the public website, the expert area, and then replies to frequently asked questions we have received. So please be aware that you will probably hear a lot of duplication in the information provided right now. Before starting the presentation, I would like to remind you that all attendees are muted by default. You have the possibility to ask your question by using the question and answer panel in the webinar control panel. So please note that the chat is also disabled for attendees, and we will review and answer your questions as much as possible during and at the end of the presentation. Should your question not be answered today, please don't worry. The questions and answers raised today will be made available on the CENELEC expert area, together with this presentation and the recorded webinar. The speakers of today are Andrea Gulacci, Director Policy and Partnerships, Eric Cornet, Account Manager IT, Elisa Matares, and myself, Cécile Andrian. So now it's time to give the floor to Andrea that will introduce you to the public website.
Thank you very much, and good morning from my side as well. I apologize in advance indeed for those of you who joined us just an hour ago. There will be a bit of duplication of information, but we hope nevertheless very useful for all the CENELEC experts joining us today. As Cécile mentioned, we have structured this presentation and webinar in 3 parts. I will be covering the information about the public CENELEC website. My colleague Eric will go more in detail on the CENELEC expert area, and then we have tackled a majority of questions and feedback we have received from your side, and we will tackle those one by one. But of course, the Q&A is also open, and we hope it's going to be a productive and interesting morning to take you through the changes that have occurred on our websites. Now, of course, you have all noticed that we have recently changed the CENELEC website. The primary driver for that was a change of technology of our website providers, and that triggered, if you want, a wider discussion as well within the CENELEC and CEN network and of members to assess how the information we present is presented online, how we engage in a more dynamic and agile way with our stakeholders and experts, and how we can make best use of our public online platforms. You will recall that we used to have a CENELEC.eu website, a CEN.eu website, and a CENELEC.eu website. So really in practice, we were updating and sharing information across 3 websites, which from a stakeholders, from a purely industry partner perspective was quite confusing and led to a lot of searching or a lot of questions raised on where to find information. And also, of course, there was room for error from our side as well in terms of updating the information across 3 websites. So the discussion that took place within the membership was how can we make this more efficient, streamline the information, offer more tailored and up-to-date content for our stakeholders, while at the same time, of course, taking into account the technological changes and modernizing the look and feel and making sure that our online presence is strong. Therefore, we had a discussion at the board levels of CEN and CENELEC to engage into a full revamping exercise, if you want, and to merge the 3 websites into one single website and have in this website a split between the general public information and then more expert directed content for CENELEC and CEN experts. And today we will take you through these 2 big parts, so the public website and the expert website. And as Cécile mentioned as well, then we will have a very detailed Q&A session as well, where we have addressed quite a lot of the questions we received. And you'll see as well, in the meantime, we have also made some of the changes and improvements that you have suggested. Next slide, I think, dives us directly into the public website, so we can go on. And you will have seen that this is the landing page of our new website. I think a recurring question we have received and something that we had ourselves to get quite used to was the resolution of the website, both on laptops, on desktops. And to note, of course, that the resolution of the website is intended for optimal 100% resolution display settings. So when you go into your settings and put on 100% display, you will see the banner about Cenelec, contact us, expert area. So all the information will be available. Zooming in and making that resolution higher leads that this banner disappears at the top. So that is just something to keep in mind, because you'll see on the next slide as well, the whole resolution details, which I realize are quite technical, are meant to make sure that the screen adapts to the device you are visiting the website from. So we have now fully responsive website on tablets, on smartphones, a responsive menu as well. The intention is as well to, if you want, serve the customer and the stakeholder of today, which reads information on the go. And we realize, and we have seen that a lot of the information to our website is accessed through mobile devices. Therefore, the website as well adapts to these different mobile devices, and the resolution changes with it. Now, the responsive menu is available throughout, and you will see as well that the banner, if you want, that I showed you just previously, where it says about Senelec, my Cen expert area, my Senelec expert area on mobile devices moves to the bottom of the screen, and there you can access the full details of your Senelec expert area. I think one of the improvements we are looking at, and we realize maybe this is a bit too hidden if you have to scroll down, is something to consider to shift the order and move the expert areas in the third and fourth position. But that is an improvement to follow. Next slide, please. Areas of work, we have in the website brought together the information that was on the Cenelec.eu website, on the Cen.eu website, and Cenelec.eu website. So the information across the sectors is now the Cenelec business sectors, the Cenelec topics, and the Cen business sectors. You will recognize here all the sectors that we used to have on the Cenelec.eu website. The improvement that we have done, or the modernizing that we have done with regards to the sectors, is of course that we updated the information that was available on each sector page. We made sure that the information is easily understood by visitors, by outside stakeholders that come to our website. We have also, if you want, made a distinction between information that was very expert specific and very much relevant to yourselves, but not the general public. Just to give you an example, we used to have on some sector pages information about technical committee meetings, technical committee agendas, which the general public doesn't have access to or can access except if they go through the national delegation. Therefore, it was also a bit of a cleanup exercise from our side and a bit of a reflection exercise of what is of interest to a Cenelec stakeholder visiting the Cenelec.eu website. An improvement that I would like to draw your attention to that we have implemented since the initial feedback we received primarily from the presidential committee was that we used to have both the Cen and Cenelec logos appearing throughout the whole web pages. And now we have made a distinction that clearly shows that once you go to the Cenelec web pages, so about Cenelec work areas, only the Cenelec logo appears in the top left corner of the web pages. And the same is valid for Cen as well. So we have made that distinct split and distinction between Cen, what is Cen specific, what is Cenelec specific versus what is Cen and Cenelec common areas. Next slide, please. To give you an example of how the web pages of the sector web pages of the Cenelec sector web pages are. So I mentioned the logo, of course, clearly identifies as a Cenelec area. Then we have put in the information related to a specific sector in an easy to understand language for a stakeholder landing, if you want, through Google to our website. We have also added for each web page the relevant technical committees. An improvement that we are considering now, because at the moment this is still a manual update from our side, is to make sure that this links with the dynamic pages so that there is a up-to-date, if you want, a rolling update of the technical bodies relevant for the sector visible. We have added also documents and materials tabs, policy opinions, because for quite a few of the sectors, we are now also engaging in different policy engagements. So we have issued Senelec position papers that we want to highlight here, as well as useful links. And for each of the sector pages, the relevant Senelec Management Center Program Manager or Account Manager contact details are there as well to enable the direct access or information request from stakeholders on that particular sector from our colleagues in-house. Next slide, please. The public website, additional features that we have is just to give you a flavor of the full features. So in addition to the sectors, which is of course the bulk of the websites, but we have also added news and events tabs where it's possible to filter. The filtering functionalities have been improved and offer a lot more tailored information now for our stakeholders. So there can be filters across sectors, across communities, Senelec only, Senelec, types of information that we are sharing. And this is a feature that we think will improve the usability as well of the information that we are updating. You would have noticed as well that we are now increasingly keeping the website a lot more up to date. It's from a technical perspective, just to understand that it's something that we can now update the websites in real time. With the technology that we had before, that wasn't possible. So it was always taking the 24 hours overnight updates. So those are, I'd say, little things, maybe invisible things but that make our website to be more in tune with the news, in tune with the sectorial information that we want to share. We had recently information about how standardization supports COP26. So we are, if you want, bringing standardization and the Senelec work program into the daily news of what stakeholders are looking for. And that will hopefully improve as well the stakeholder engagement that we want for our standardization work. Next slide, please. The information as well, of course, there is the assumption we could make that everybody will check our websites every day, which is not the case. But you can also subscribe yourselves to different types of information that can come directly to your inbox, the press releases. We have a regular monthly newsletter on the spot. We have information about workshops or events, events in the spotlight. And you will see as well, Eric will present that to you, that on the expert side, we have also included a news feature where information actually comes to you. So that is another feature we have added, because we do realize that probably people do not necessarily consult the website on a regular basis. But if you do receive an email alert, it's sometimes easier to just click on the link and read the news, the press release, or the event information that we are sharing. The Senelec expert area is part that my colleague Eric will tackle, but maybe just to close, if you want, the public area. I don't know if we have any questions at this stage. I mean, we are trying, I know it's online, but we are trying to make this as interactive as possible. And that's why also the Q&A section is there, which we all monitor. So please don't hesitate to ask your questions also while we're speaking. I mean, myself or colleagues will be answering questions live as well, or typing the answers live. So please use the opportunity. And of course, we'll also share all this afterwards on the Senelec expert area. But for the moment, I don't see any specific questions raised on the public side. So maybe, Eric, you can, there is a question coming up. Is there any kind of NC staff area planned? Maybe, Thierry, this is part of the answers that will come with a more expert area to see where there is more information that is specifically for experts. So if we take that part, and then we'll see if this question gets answered, or if not, maybe we clarify the question, what that exactly means. Eric, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Andrea. And so good morning, everybody. So as Andrea mentioned before, now there is a clear split between the public website targeting a general public and the expert area website, which is clearly targeting the experts. Next slide. So the split exists on the basis on the information, but also at the level of the information which is provided in relation to the standardization project. For instance, on the public website, the search and the details on the standardization projects have been shaped in a way that it can be easily usable by the general public and non-experts in standardization. On the other side, if you want to make complex search or want to get detailed information about the standards, so Projects Online is the way to go. And so Projects Online is an application that was open to all the Cinelec national committees and all the technical committee officers, Cinelec technical committee officers in 2014, so 7 years ago. And now, based on Cinelec BT decision, it was also open, so in 2020, in October, to all the Cinelec experts. So basically, all the Cinelec standardization community has access to Projects Online. And so I said that's the way to go, and that's for the best, because in Projects Online, we are basically exposing all the information that we have in our database in CCMC. So we will find all the information there. And so it's a closed environment, which means you need an ID and a password to get access to it. So we have more freedom to expose even sometimes sensitive information on or shape the search and the results in the way that suits the best for the experts and the members. So we have much more flexibility there. And so in 2020, we made a webinar to explain a little bit what was behind Projects Online. And this webinar is available in the link, which is just here on the screen. Yeah, next slide. So talking about the website itself, so the first thing is that we wanted to keep it simple. So it's just a portal. We wanted to keep a simple structure and not too many pages, so that it's not too difficult to go through it and to get access to the information. So this site, as I mentioned, is consolidating all the information which are relevant for the experts. And the first one, of course, is the access to the applications. So maybe you can move to the next slide. So you have here the whole list of applications, which is accessible either to the experts, members, or technical body officers. And for each of them, you have a short description. You have, of course, a link to access the application itself, and you have also a link to the user's guides or any template document which is related to this application. For instance, here for the collaboration platform, which is very convenient because in the past, the documentation was a little bit more spread, not centralized as much as now, and with a direct link from the application to the documentation. So I think it's much more easier to get access to the documentation. Thank you. Next slide. Yes, also for each application, you can move to the slide. Yeah. So for each application, we identify the targeted audience. So we do it for the applications, but you will find also the same behavior for the news and also for the trainings and events. We indicate here, for example, technical body officers, members, or experts. Okay, the next slide. Communication on key initiatives. So this is something that we were not able to do on a public website. So it's sometimes to have pages which are really targeting the experts on initiatives which are taken by CCMC. So I think, for instance, here of all the projects which are related to the digital transformation, like the online collaborative authoring or the standard of the future, where we want to convey certain message and share certain message with the experts or certain information. It can be also that certain projects that we will have in the future also with IEC, which are more specifically, I would say, targeting the experts, are also mentioned here. Okay, you can move to the next slide. And then the last feature is the news and subscription. So up to now, when we wanted to communicate to the experts, the only channel was to go to the members or through also the technical committee secretaries, which is something we will continue to do, of course. But on top of that, having this news on the website give us the possibility to reach out a larger community of experts and more quickly. And so that's, as I said, that's very targeted information about the trainings. And here, for example, when there is an IT maintenance on one of the application, one of the server, you can also be warned when there will be a downtime or the application is not available. And so you have the possibility to filter those news according to different categories. And if you move to the next slide, you have also the possibility to subscribe to the news so that you are automatically notified when one of these news are posted. You just have to put your email, enter your email here and select the category for which you want to receive a notification. So I think it's very, very convenient. Okay, so I finished now. So I think
Thank you, Eric. Yes,
yeah.
we will go now through a set of consolidated questions that we have received and have clustered by relevance and type of questions. Some might be no more relevant to you because you probably have found your way to the information you were looking for since then, but we thought it would be useful to tackle them anyway in this webinar. And the first one is, can you adapt the visual identity when landing on Sennelic page? And yes, it has been done. So no, you will only see the Cinelec logo appearing when you go on any Cinelec web pages, as shown in the slide. The next one is a Cinelec website sitemap available? It is not available, but instead you have the possibility to see and navigate the site structure through the horizontal scroll down menu that is available when browsing on the bar, as you can see on the slide here too. Where can I find my expert area when using a small screen? Andrea already tackled and explained where to find that. So when you go and you click on the responsive hamburger menu that is on the top right corner, and then you scroll down, you will access the My Cinelec expert area. Where can I find the most recently published standards on the new website? The information is available in the standards evolution forecast and as shown in the slide here. So you go on about Cinelec and then under technical work, you will access the Cinelec standards evolution and forecast. Where can I find the RSS feed Cinelec recently published standards list? The information is available in the same location under standards evolution forecast. And then here you see you have the icon of RSS feed under recently published. Where do I find the contact information of the Secretary, President, and Permanent Delegate of a National Committee? The information is not yet available on the public website. We have taken into account GDPR aspects, and so the users are invited to contact the relevant national committee in order to have this information, and they can find the list of the national committee under the members under About Cinelec, Cinelec Committee. You have there the list of members. The next question, what is the difference between search website and search standards? So please note that there is a difference between the search in the website, that is searching mainly in the content of the news and the content pages of the public website, and the search standards. That is a global search in the database, which is updated on a daily and rolling basis. We've already received some information and feedback on this, and we do invite you to continue to notify us of any gaps you might come across for us to improve the metadata behind the public website content. And the next is for Eric.
Thank you. So where do I find the email of the TC chairperson, and where do I find the name and email of the TC assistant secretary? So this is currently under discussion within CCMC, and so in terms of IT, that's not really something difficult to implement, but we want to make sure that also in terms of GDPR, we are considering all the aspects properly. So I see that Marc-Antoine raised.
Yes, Eric, on this point, I can bring you additional information since we have been in discussion with our legal advisor on this question. There will be no possibilities to have the email of the chairs and the TC secretaries of the TCs because of several infringements of the GDPR if we proceed so. So there will be mechanism of course, having the name of the people. This is one thing, but on the email side, this is not possible because we have to comply strictly with these legal rules.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think so, as I mentioned here, so those information are also partially available on Projects Online. So I think on Projects Online, you will find the information on you will find the name of the secretary, you will find the name of the chairman, and you will find, I think, the email of the secretary. But even there, we have to also to check that with our legal advisor. Because you need to have the consent of the persons to display this type of information. So that's something we want to check. But as I said, it's more kind of, let's say, a business decision, an internal check with the GDPR aspects rather than a purely IT implementation.
Okay, the next question, where can I find the consolidated table of TCs with their secretary, assistant secretary, chair, dependency, and terms of office? So as it was just explained before, we do not have this information on the public website, but we do have partially this information on Projects Online, except for the terms of office that will be added early December. And also this information you can consult this information online, but you cannot extract it. And we will do it early January. So I will show you on live where to find that information. So if I go here on Projects Online, you have in the quick navigation menu, select a committee. You just need to open the drop-down, select all, and you can see here the full list of TC with the status, and you can filter on the status. For example, if you are only interested in active committees, and you see here the secretariat, chairperson, and secretary. So we will add here in the future a little Excel icon for you to be able to extract that list.
Mm-hmm. And with the end of terms also, so
yes,
you will have everything in the same package in the Excel file.
Next question, how can I search for Cinelec standard only? So if I go back on the Cinelec, on the Cinelec public website, if I click on search standard, you see that you can search in either Cen and Cinelec, or if you are only interested in Cinelec data, you can just untick the Cen box. Is it possible to display the withdrawn standard? Indeed, we have added this option very recently into the search standard. So I'm here on the same place, search standard. And if I scroll down, you see that in the status, we've added a box withdrawn that is unticked by default. You just need to select it to have the withdrawn standards. How can I find the relations between the European directives and the Senelec standards? You can search by directive, either on Projects Online or here on the public website. So I'm going back here on the search standard screen, and you see that we have here a field legal framework. You just need to select one directive and to press search to get the list of standards linked to that directive. And we have the same on Projects Online. So if I go back to the home page, you on the quick navigation menu, you can either select a mandate or a directive. And here also you get the list of standard linked to that directive. Okay, this one is for you, Eric.
Yes, so that's a question, yeah, we also received. So in search standard, when using the keyword fields, the operator seems to be or instead of hand. Can you change that? So it's true, the operator is selected by default. So now if you want, and if it's the case, want to look for an exact phrase, you can search using the double quotes. So that's also another options. And of course, this can be changed. So the operator can be changed to hand by default if needed, but up to now, it was only raised once by one person. So, but that can be changed, of course. That's just a decision to be taken, whether it's preferable to have a hand or as operator between the words of the search.
Why are the TCs, SCs, SR not sorted in numerical order? It's true, this is something that will be fixed early December. So we are going to tackle this very quickly. Why? Sorry, it is for you, Eric, this one.
It's for me. Why isn't it possible to find a technical body or NC using the search engine on the website? So it was partially explained by Andrea. So there is a difference between the search on the website and the static pages and what we call dynamic pages, which is basically the search on the standards and the technical committees, which is a search on our database. And so for the search on the static pages, so the website itself, we are using a technology which is called Umbraco, which is the new Microsoft content server. And for the search on the database, we are using another technology, which is Oracle Apex. And so these are completely different and separated technologies. So now, that being said, I think that the request is valid, and I can understand that. So we have no easy, I would say, solution out of the blue for now, but we will try to see if there is a possible workaround that it's possible also to search for an NC or a technical committee directly also in the general website search and to fall on the related I would say, page from the database. But that's has to be investigated. It's not obvious, I would say.
In search standard, when exporting the results of our search, why don't we get all the displayed data in the Excel reports? Actually, the public website is meant for quick searches. So if you need more detailed result, we encourage you to go in Projects Online, at least for members and experts. However, we decided to add a few more information in the Excel extract from the public website. So we added recently a column for the English title, the work item number, the DOR, DAV, DOA, DOP, and DOW. So this is done already. We also received various requests to add specific search criteria to the search standard on the public website. But as we said before, the public website is meant for quick searches. So again, if you need more detailed search criteria, you can go on projects online. We have, I can quickly show you. We have on projects online a complex search where you can combine several criteria to search for standards and projects. Can we export the DOA, DOP, DOW, DOR, DAV for standard ratified within a given period? So Projects Online is the preferred tool when you require more specific search criteria. For example, the selection for a stage within a given period. However, those dates are currently missing from the resulting Excel file. So we plan end of January to add this missing information. Is it possible to have a shortcut to my TC dashboard page? You will soon have access to the favorites in Projects Online, and there is a button access to TC platform on the TC page if you go in Projects Online. So for example, if I take a TC, you have here access to the TC platform. How do we access the FTP server? You have the link to the Cinelec FTP in the expert area. However, you need to have a client for that to open the FTP. So if I go in Cinelec expert area, you have here under the section more applications, the link to the FTP server, but we put here into bracket, but that you need a specific client. You cannot open it anymore via a browser.
Yeah, if I may, so in the past, regular browser were supporting the FTP protocol, and so you were able to display on the screen the folder structure and access it through your browser, but it's not supported anymore. So you really have to use a specific client for that.
Is there a dedicated place with the checklist, guiding materials, template, etc. for drafting harmonized standards? Indeed, all this material is available on the Cinelec boss, and we put the direct link here for you. Where can I find the Cinelec boss? The link to the boss is available in the experts area. So if I go here, you see that there is a link here on the top menu. In the section Standard Evolution and Forecast, can you add a list with the standard withdrawn over the last 2 months? Indeed, we will do it. It is planned for end of January. Why can't we sort the search results? This is something that we are going to look into because it was not also possible in the form of a website, but this is something that we need to investigate. In the standard page, can you add the IC technical body? Indeed, we will also do it. This change is planned for end of this month. How can I extract the list of HDs depending from my NC for review purpose? This is mostly used in the case of systematic reviews, and this can also be considered for other deliverables in a systematic review portfolio. Please note that TC secretaries receive on a monthly basis an alert report, which include the standards that need to be reviewed. But also on Projects Online, you can get such a list. I will show you how to do it. So if I go on projects online, let me go on the home page, complex search. You see there is a field for the alerts. So I will take alert 5, review due, and the secretariat. I can select my national committee and click on submit. And here you get all the list, the full list of standard to be reviewed, and you can extract here if you click on the Excel button. Okay, I think it was the last question.
Thank you very much, Elisa and Eric. I think there are some questions as well that are coming in the chat. Some we've already answered with Marc-Antoine, but maybe just to take them from bottom up. It's true, yes, we are aware, of course, that some companies don't allow to download FTP. And it's part of the reasoning as well why we're trying to move away from FTP as well. And we're putting all the documents on the website. And it's in progress. We had a lot of, even before we had a lot of, before we switched to the websites, we had a lot of, alerts or complaints from members, but not only that they cannot download FTP, so we would have to send them as attachments to emails. It's not clear how to navigate the subpages from the main. I think, Carlo, we would need a bit more clarification of what you mean with that question, because I'm not sure if, are you referring to the Cinelec expert area or to the public website? I think it definitely will be very helpful for myself, my colleagues, if you can give us some clear indications. And you see as well, we put the email address as well on the screen. We're very open to have your feedback and to continue improving the web pages, but we will need to understand as well some of the questions. I see as well Thierry is asking, where are the assistant secretaries, I assume? Again, I think that's something that needs a bit more clarification, because I think Elisa and Eric show that a lot of information is available in projects online. So I don't know if that already answered maybe your question, Thierry, and it's linked to that. Maybe this question, Eric, you can take that. Are you aware that the My Expert Area selector disappears on some browsers or at some screen resolution? It's very difficult to navigate to the application. Is that linked to the resolution that we were talking about on the first, on the public website as well?
I think you mean the link to the My Experts area at the top of, from the public website, I think, no?
I think it's probably the link, the tab, where you click on My Expert Area disappears on some browsers or at some screen resolutions.
Is it correct? Is it what you meant, Yuka? I guess so.
I guess so. Yuka, all we have experienced, and that's why I was trying to mention that, and that's probably it's valid for public and expert area, is if the screen resolution is not 100 on the desktop, indeed the tabs on the top disappear. But that is something that I mentioned we're looking into as well, because you need to be aware that it always has to be at 100 or smaller for you to see the tabs on the top, and that's something we need to look into it. But we're aware it is it's there. Amanda, and I think maybe that was a question with Marc-Antoine answered in the comments. So maybe Marc-Antoine, you could take the question from Amanda live as well. National Secretary trying to encourage members to attend and join meetings. It would be good to know upcoming meeting days and so on and so forth.
Yeah, to answer to this question, so all of the aspects with the practical organization of a working group meetings, TC meetings, the date, the access link to this is handled currently in the framework of the platform, the IC collaboration platform of each of the TC and the notification system that they have. So all of the experts and the people who are involved in the standardization work itself, on this aspect, the things does not change. They still keep going on receiving the notification. They're still going on having the access to the IFC collaboration platform on every documents that they need for meetings and for so this aspect is not handled at all in the context of the public website. And of course, through the new Sennelic expert tool, you can access to these different sub-tool that allow you access to these documents useful for the meetings. But this is not handled in the context, of course, of the public website.
Thank you very much for that, Marc-Antoine. And I think here's some questions. Maybe this, Elisa, maybe the question from Thierry is clearer now on the projects online.
Yes, I think indeed we do not have the name of the assistant secretary on projects online, but I think Rick, this is something that we discussed already. We could maybe add it, but we need to discuss it more internally.
We will add it, but for what concerns the email, it's the same level of discussion as the chairman, I would say. But of course, we can add it.
I think we've already discussed now, Elisa, there was an improvement done to the withdrawn standards or something that is planned. Maybe the question from Maria, the last question. In the case of withdrawn standards, the date of withdrawal is not indicated in the page.
Okay, this is something that we can check.
Then I have Carlos. So from the main page to the TC experts and standards, from the main page. So I assume you're referring to the public website. So I'll take the question from the public website and maybe Eric can complement from the expert website. But from the public website, in terms of technical work, so the TCs are accessible from the Cinelec technical work, and then you have the full list, which can be extracted in Excel as well, of all the TCs active in Cinelec. There is, of course, the search standards functionality that we showed as well. So again, you can tick and select that you want to only see Senelec relevant standards for a particular TC. So all that information is available and can be filtered. And the same, I think, Eric, is valid from the expert site as well.
Yeah, so, but here, so is there workaround for the secretary?
I think, Amanda, do you mean more as trainings?
What do you mean? Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly clear to me.
Yeah. Amanda, if you mean in terms of trainings, and is it a training to you as a national secretary to support new members getting involved at the national level? I think that is a twofold question, if you want. Of course, it's always the responsibility of the national secretaries to support national stakeholders to get involved. There is, of course, the possibility, but maybe that needs a wider discussion if CCMC is to provide such services. But it's, I think, maybe a combined effort because, of course, we can provide this kind of information or trainings again, and maybe they need to be more tailored, as you say, for new members getting involved. But I think there we enter a bit, and maybe that needs a bit more discussion and clarification if we don't enter maybe into the responsibilities of a national committee as well. And if those wouldn't be additional services that Cinelec Management Center could offer. The projects online, Carlo, yes, it's not easy to find from the main page. That's on purpose. Because it's very much an expert tool and an expert area. So for a visitor who just lands on our website from external, first of all, they could click on it. And then the first thing you get is password and username and password. And then it can create the usual question, yes, but why can I not have access and so on, when of course we're following, experts have access and you have access. So it was done on purpose that we don't advertise projects online from the main page, but it is on the main page of the Cinelec expert area. So you do have a direct access to that. Talking about the dates, Amanda, is that the dates of the meetings? I think that was the question that Marc-Antoine answered.
I believe that the question, if I understand well, of course, is that, so Amanda, if I understand well, you mean how can you be aware of all of the dates of the different working group meetings in order to share it, or to be, for what I see in your other intervention, to involve more members on this. Currently, yeah, okay, I see that you put yes in the chat. The idea would be that as members, you have the notification linked to the access on which you have been granted as Cinelec members, and based on this, of course, you have a series of access on the TCs and the working group to which your national standardization body has decided to grant you an access. So, for example, if you are following several TCs and that you NSBs has allocated you the rights to be either the head of delegation in each of the TCs, you will be automatically aware of all of the actualities, if I can say so, of the different TCs. But you cannot have, how can I say, a hand on all of the meetings of all of the TCs, because each of that depends from the access that are granted based off what the national standardization body has attributed you as a role. So I think that Thierry, Eric, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the linked, the notification system that each of the expert of each countries that they receive on the IC collaboration platform is of course based on their role linked to one of the TC and what each of the NSBs have significated to us regarding the access right to each of the member.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes.
No, I hope that answered your question, Amanda. I think that was a bit the discussion as well, or the, if you want, the reflection we had as well. It's of making a clear distinction between what is expert related, national committee related information and public information. We used to have this information online, and we also used to have a lot of requests from stakeholders saying, I would like to join this meeting, which of course we would say, sorry, no, you have to go through the national national committee. So it was a mix of information that was very much internal, our network, our members' information, yours as national committee secretaries, and information that the public was confusing or misleading. So that was part of the reflection as well into what do we provide in the public website and what do we provide in the expert website. Now, to also make that distinction, of course, here we have the training is very much for Cinelec experts, and as we had the one this morning for Cen experts, you will notice that just navigating to the Cen expert area or Cinelec expert area is not password protected. So of course, the general public can also land on those pages. But once we start going into the applications that give all the information you need to do the standardization work we do, of course, they start being password protected. And that's why we try to have at least a visual distinction, or at least a psychological distinction between the expert area and the public area.
If I may,
yes, please,
I would like also to come back to the question of Frederic regarding the FTP. And so FTP, the FTP server is the backend that we are using to store, I would say, the document which are and the standards which are meant to be distributed to the members. And so there are different ways to already access it. So from a member's perspective, when the members need to access the FTP, usually it's to feed their production chain. So in this case, they can access it either via the new harmonized API, they can directly download all the documents via the API. And so at the background, of course, it's the FTP server, but that's quite transparent through the APIs. Or they can use, as we said, an FTP client. But in this case, I think that's for a very automated download and centralized download. So I think from members' side, it's not a problem. Now, there is also individual access which are possible to the standards. And in this case, there is also another way to access that than going directly through the FTP client. And maybe, Elisa, if you can show it, it's to go through projects online. So in projects online, we have also a link to the documents. And again, at the background, it's the FTP server, but in this case, it's completely transparent. So I think there are options there. And yeah, maybe I will. So you have here the documents. And so it's exactly the same credentials which are used to access the FTP site, which have been implemented here. So that's another way for people if they have also issues accessing via the FTP. Maybe we can add a note on that on
the slides we're going to upload. No?
Yeah, no, but on the experts
Okay.
website to mention this,
Yeah.
and just also to mention that we would like to move away from the FTP server, which is not the ideal technology as document repository, and to move to a true document repository. But now this FTP server is still much used by some members, also is integrated with our production chain. So it's not, I would say, it's not immediate and it's not simple, but we are thinking about moving away from the FTP server.
Yeah, I think something to complement, because I don't know if we went through fast through the slides. There is a link in the slides as well to a very detailed projects online training. And of course, with my colleagues, I mean, we're happy to host another refresher of projects online in the new year. If needed. And that's also something that maybe complements if you want, because of course in this particular webinar we couldn't cover all, but we have the recording available, as you can see, on the expert site, and the slides will be uploaded on the Cinelec expert site. So that is also something that complements, if you want, where the information is found, how projects online can be navigated, and all the functionalities that are quite extensive in projects online to go through. And maybe that answers, or maybe Elisa or Eric, you can take the last question as well from Thierry.
Elisa, I think it's in the demo that you've shown about the standards under revision.
Let me see.
We can always take a look or answer after as well, or maybe to be reviewed, but it's exactly these kind of questions or blind spots we appreciate you highlighting, because if technically feasible and it's just a question of ticking the box, and I'll give you a very clear example, and I think Maria was asking that, we didn't have in the search functionality of standards the withdrawn box, which is definitely an application we had technically, so we added that in the search standards function that is now on the public website. You can also search by withdrawn standards, so it's also quick fixes we can do. But I don't know if Elisa, if you found, or maybe we can answer that afterwards as well. But maybe Eric, you can answer Sana's question.
Yes, so I can't say when it will be. I say when it will not be. So it will not be for next year, that's for sure. Anyway, we know that's something we will have to communicate extensively with the members, because that's very much impacting for them. So that's something we will prepare carefully with the members, also internally, as I said, because it's strongly integrated with our production chain. So, but it will not be for 22 for sure. So I hope we can start working on that in 23.
Okay, to come back to Thierry's question, indeed, the TC is not shown here, but if you extract the list, it will be there. There will be a column with the responsible TC.
We can, of course, adapt the information which is in projects online, add more columns, bearing in mind that at a point in time it has to fit on the page, which is always sometimes a challenge. But so
the
that's
fine line between information overflow and user friendliness of information.
So, but that's the idea. That's that projects online continue to evolve to fit your needs. And now we know that the tool as it is now, it's already an aging application. So the I would say the ergonomy and the look and feel are not are a little bit old-fashioned. So that's something we have to improve. And also the technology is also to be, I would say, to be renewed. So But so we have also planned to improve projects online, and that's something we are planning to do closely with the members and experts so that we get their feedback and input on what could be possible improvements or new features for sure.
I think Marc-Antoine, you wanted to add something to complement this.
Yeah, I think it's on another point because there has been a lot of question also on the why it's not possible to directly contact a TC chair or an assistant secretary of a TC. The idea is that this is for two reasons, basically. One aspect on which I think I've answered in the chat was more on the question of the email access itself. We are linked to the GDPR. This is of course one thing. Of course, the answer to this could be to adopt like the same way like the IEC website, when you have a full list and a full possibility to contact them. But then comes another positioning that we have deliberately chosen to have more on the website the channel of the point of contacts for each subsector in order to filters the question that we receive from the public when it comes to a specific question for a TC. You know that sometimes we receive everyday question that sometimes can be very technical and directly addressed to a TC, and then of course the project manager directly will contact the TC and ask them to provide an answer. But we receive also sometimes questions that seems to be addressed to TC, but are more involving other aspects, either our colleagues of research or innovation, or some aspect more on the legal aspect on which the chair of a TC or the assistant secretary cannot answer directly. And this is why the idea was more to use the channel of the point of contact, which is in this case either the account manager of the project manager responsible for the subsector, so that the chair of the TC, the secretary of the TC, and the assistant secretary of the TC are not overwhelmed by questions that sometimes are not directly addressed to the technical expertise of the TC, but more on the question on what is the state of this directive and the link with the standard, things like this, on which the project manager can directly filter this question and directly provide an answer to the public question. So this is the logic on why we proceed in another way than our fellow colleagues of the IC, for example.
No, thank you for that clarification, Marc-Antoine. And I mean, I do hope that overall the information we're providing and this more detailed, if you want to run through the public website and expert area was helpful. We were very happy to keep you online until 12:30, but I realize everybody has very busy schedules these days. I don't see any more questions coming in just now to be answered live. We did really take each your questions diligently. So thank you very much for also making the time yourselves to send us questions prior to this webinar. There will be a few targeted follow-ups as well from our side, because some of the members had more specific questions related to their own access and their own understanding of the tools and applications, and that is something that we'll follow up bilaterally. But please don't hesitate. As you see, there is still a lot in the pipeline, as Eric showed. There are still some targets that we have this year and beginning of next year. Do continuously send us feedback and suggestions. I would say there is a clear willingness and effort from our side to make the best out of these new online portals that we have, the public and the expert area. Of course, what is technically feasible, we try to address as fast as possible. Other things might need a bit more reflection, as Eric said as well, or might need a bit of understanding maybe as well what is available and where it is available. So maybe Eric, you want to complement some of this as well?
Yeah, just to finish, so we can understand that maybe some national committee staffs are not still very familiar with projects online, but anyway, so we are happy to help with that, and my team will be happy to help. And so, but it will be more, I would say, in more bilateral discussion that we will arrange that. So, but we will support you for that. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much in any case for registering. I think we had over 50 participants today from Cinelec experts, and we hope you found this useful. And as I mentioned, the slides, the recording will be made available on the Cinelec expert site. There is this link to the project's online tutorial as well, which is complementing the information we showed you today. You do have the website at your disposal. Eric and myself are at your disposal as well for any questions or suggestions you have. And all I can hope is that we'll make the best use of these new websites and online information that we have at our disposal. So thank you very much from my side and my colleagues. And we wish you a very nice Wednesday. If there are no more questions, and I see there are none coming in at the moment, then I suggest we can close the webinar. Thank you very much. Have a nice Wednesday.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.